Hi everyone, I'm Sabine, and welcome to my channel where I make art videos. Today I'm going to be doing a one color art challenge, so I'm going to be using all of my orange art supplies to make this lovely Halloween themed drawing. Okay, as you can see, these are all of my orange art supplies. I just wanted to show you guys ahead of time because I'm going to be speeding through the video and I might not be able to focus on each individual supply. So just before we get started, these are paint markers, and we have some alcohol-based markers, water-based markers, and the majority of my orange art supplies happen to be colored pencils and pastel pencils. I also have this little vial of ink here. It's burnt sienna, but I decided to include it because it is very, very orangey in color. And that's about it. So let's get to the drawing. Welcome to the voiceover part of the video, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, then please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And if you hit the little bell icon beside the subscribe button, you won't miss out on any awesome art videos. Okay, let's get to the art. As you can see, I started a little bit ahead of time by doing the line work with the fine liners. This video is going to be long enough as it is in the art portion, so this was kind of a step that I took to cut out a little bit of time. Plus, I think it's a lot easier for you guys to see what I'm doing with the line work as opposed to the pencils, so that's why we're starting with this little bit done ahead of time. So the first supplies that I'm using are the alcohol-based markers. They're Prismacolor. They're super old. They don't even have a brush nib on them, which is why I'm using the chisel tip, in case you were wondering. Yeah, I don't recommend drawing like this, but this is what I got. And the point of this challenge is to use all the orange art supplies that I have in my collection, no matter what they are, what shade they are, what medium they are. So I'm really taking this to task and giving it my best shot. As you can see, the alcohol-based markers don't really look very good on the paper that I'm using, but I had to choose something to work on. And because I have such a wide variety of media, no matter what I picked, it was going to be bad for some things and good for others. So I decided to go with a light watercolor paper. It's on the cheaper side of watercolor paper, so I was hoping that it would be nice and thick and kind of absorbent, but not too absorbent. And yeah, you can see that the paper is still pretty absorbent. It's just sucking the ink right out of the alcohol markers, and it's kind of blotchy, but that's okay for the pumpkins. I was okay with that kind of look to it. I figured if I was gonna sacrifice something, that this would be the thing that would work. I decided to go with a thicker paper because I do have some paint pens and ink, and I didn't want the paper to buckle while I was working on it. It also has a pretty hefty tooth to it, and that may be good or bad, depending on the materials, as you'll see as we go through the video. Next, I'm using my Posca paint pens. I just got these. I've never used them before, but they seem to be pretty popular on YouTube right now, so of course, I really needed to try them. They're kind of interesting. They pretty much are paint, just in a pen form, so it's pretty easy application. I got the 15 marker pack, which comes with this darker orange that I'm using on the witch hat, and a lighter peach color that you'll see me using in a bit. It also comes with a gray that I'm obviously not using in this video, but I'm just going to mention it because if you're thinking about getting a set, then you can see at least two of the colors in the 15 set that aren't in the 12 set, and decide that if those two colors plus the gray are something that you want, that maybe you'll get the 15 set instead of the 12 set. Next, I am using my Tombow brush pens. These are water-based pens, and I really kind of enjoy using them. I've been using them for Drawloween all month, mostly the gray tones. I decided to kind of go grayscale with the project, but I have a full range of colors now, and they're just really nice to use and fun. I have this light peachy orange that I'm using on the wheat here, and I also have a darker orange that you'll see me using on the leaves. They worked okay on the paper. The paper was probably absorbing a lot more ink than needed, but they look pretty good, I think. I also didn't realize just how dark my orange was compared to some of these other oranges, which is really interesting. I also want to mention that I feel like the color in the video is a bit on the shallow side, and what I mean by that is I feel like you guys aren't maybe getting the full variation of color. When I look at it, I can see a lot more depth and difference in the colors that I'm using, but on the video they look really flat. It looks like I'm using the same color for a lot of things, but actually there's quite a bit of variance between the materials that I'm using. Working a bit more with the Posca pens, the bright orange is the standard orange that you'd get in any set probably that has an orange, and it is really vibrant. You can't tell in the video, but it's not fluorescent, but like almost. It is a very, very saturated, vibrant orange. Alright, I'm cracking open my Burnt Sienna Winsor Newton ink, and I feel like this should be more of a brown color, but it's quite orange, especially compared to my other brown inks. So that's why I thought I would use it in this video. To me, it's very orange looking, although it probably looks like the most muted brownish color that I've got going on in this video. I actually really like how it looks. It's nice to have a more muted orange to provide some variety, because most of the colors that I have for this are very saturated, so I really like this ink. I surprisingly didn't have any orange paint, except for the paint pens, but like I didn't have any orange acrylics, watercolor, or gouache. It's sort of a weird color to have for paint, I guess, or maybe I'm just a weirdo and I don't have a set that has any in it. I don't know, I thought that was a little weird. But do you guys have orange paint? Am I just a weirdo that doesn't own any? I have no idea. Let me know in the comments if you've got a big orange paint collection. Speaking of choosing the colors for this project, it was very interesting because I didn't want to get too into yellow or red, but the harder part was avoiding going too far into brown. That was sort of the ambiguous area. I could have had a lot more materials if I went a little bit darker in my selection, but I decided that brown could be an entire other one color challenge video in and of itself. I have a ton of brown art supplies, so I don't know, maybe that's a video for the future. Plus, I did kind of want to limit what I had. I think I've got almost 20 different supplies in this video, and that's a lot. And they're all the same color, so it's kind of hard to use all of those in a meaningful way already. Anyway, I decided to continue with the bold choices I set down for the leaves around the pumpkin and continue them with the rest of the leaves in the picture. I'm not sure if this was the right choice. All the leaves look consistent, but I could have easily chosen some different supplies, tried different things, which is a little bit about what this challenge is about. It's more of an experiment for me. I'm not coming out of this with necessarily a finished piece that I'm gonna like. It's much more an experiment to see what kind of art supplies you have and test them all out. But I kind of had a plan going into this. I decided I was going to use my more solid supplies like paint and markers for the big shapes, and then use my pastels for kind of filling in some light color washes and using the color pencils to do some shading and highlights and stuff like that. I think that's what I would normally do in a mixed media piece, but I don't know if it really turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now I'm using a pastel pencil to color in the cat. It looks very blotchy right now because the paper has a really big tooth to it, but that's okay. I know what I'm doing. Sometimes. I find pastel is great for getting down some light color washes. Like if you kind of want a very light background color, but you don't want it to be too bright or saturated, pastel is really great for that. And the way you get it is just by blending it out. As you'll see, it blends out really nicely, and I've got this nice soft orangey yellow base for the cat, and now I can add more color on top of it. At this point, I'm going around the drawing, just adding some light pastel color to it, filling in the background a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see. Again, I feel like my camera wasn't necessarily picking up the colors too well, so the light areas look a little bit washed out, and I'm sorry about that. This is kind of the part where I just add layers of light pastels and pencil crayons just to give a background color to the rest of the piece. I feel like it's actually really nice though to have the soft pastels versus the really solid, bold marker and paint colors. It adds a little bit of variance to the drawing, and I kind of like that. By the time I get to the colored pencils, yeah, everything is more or less filled in now. Like I mentioned, that's how I planned it, but it might have been more fun to use the pencils to color things in more. The only problem with that is the tooth to the paper that I mentioned earlier, and because it has such a high tooth to it, it would be really hard for me to fill in a lot of the white areas with the color pencils unless I was going to be blending them. And honestly, this video is long enough as it is. This experiment has gone on quite a while, and I don't think I have the patience to sit down and blend out all this stuff in colored pencils. Nope. So what I'm going to do with them is I'm just going to use them for some nice highlights and shading, just to kind of bring things out a little bit, give things a little bit of depth, and that's going to be it. This challenge was a little bit harder than I thought, to do a piece of art not just with one color, but also to use all the art supplies you have in that given color. It's kind of hard to find places to put things after a while, and also you want things to work together, and it's sort of hard because you have all these really different variations on saturation and shade and tone, so I'm not quite sure this piece works too great, but I'm also not unhappy with it. I think I probably did the best that I could with the constraints that I have, so yeah, it's all right. I like the look of monochromatic pieces. I think they can turn out really beautiful, but you're usually only working with like one shade and a variance of tone within that shade. This drawing has multiple shades and tones in it, so it's a little bit busy looking because of that. It was kind of hard to make everything work together. Like I said, I think I did the best with what I had, and I hope it looks okay. I'm going to be seeing orange for days now. So this is my first real art challenge video, and if you liked it and would like to see more videos like this one, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up below or by letting me know what you think in the comments. I read all your comments and I do my best to respond to everyone, so don't be shy. They mean a lot to me. I love it when people give me feedback on my videos. It really helps me develop as somebody who's trying to get better at video making. So if you feel so inclined, please leave me some feedback. Other than that, I hope you guys had a good time watching me draw today. I enjoyed this. It was kind of a fun and different experiment. I'm not too sure with how it turned out, but the process was different and fun. So, as always, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a happy Halloween.